DG, we'll start with the Tar Heels that win last week up in the Commonwealth over Virginia. Mac Brown's team 4-4 on the road this week at 1-7 Florida State. 3:30 kick on Saturday in Tallahassee. This, of course, on ACC Network. The Tar Heels, a 2-point favorite in Florida's capital city.
Yeah, just as it was strange, Chris, to see Duke earlier this season as a football favorite over the Seminoles. It is strange to see the Tar Heels as a football favorite over FSU, especially with this game being played, as you said, in Tallahassee. The Blue Devils, remember, had been 0-22 all-time against Florida State on the gridiron, but they finally ended that eternal offer a couple weeks ago with that 23-16 victory in Durham, as the Devils' outstanding defense put the clamps on what has been a truly horrific FSU offense this season. Carolina's all-time head-to-head record against the Seminoles is not quite as bad, but it is still plenty awful. 3 wins, 17 losses, 1 tie. The 3 victories, for the record, came first under Coach John Bunting, great friend of the program, back in 2001, when the Heels put a 41-9 whooping on FSU in Chapel Hill. More recently, it was 37-35 Tar Heels under Butch Davis in 2010, when our friend Casey Barth kicked a field goal in the final minute, and then 37-35 again under Larry Fedora on that famous Nick Weiler 54-yard tomahawk chop field goal as time expired at Doak Campbell Stadium in 2016, which at the time, in that case, snapped Florida State's 22-game home winning streak. Those 2 more recent, both of them UNC victories, did happen at Doak Campbell, the site of this week's game. The good news for this 2024 edition of the Tar Heels is what you mentioned a second ago. Coming off their first open week, they played by far their most complete game of this season last Saturday during that 41-14 domination of Virginia in Charlottesville. Carolina's 5th-year senior quarterback, Jacoby Criswell, played one of the best games of his entire college career with almost 300 passing yards, 2 touchdown passes, 0 turnovers. Omarion Hampton, as usual, ran for more than 100 yards, had 2 TDs. Wide receiver J.J. Jones, another guest on the David Glenn Show, as was Omarion not long ago, had more than 100 receiving yards in Jones's case and 2 touchdowns. One, that spectacular highlight reel grab in the end zone, and the other, an impressive catch and run. Both UNC lines dominated the trenches against the Cavaliers, which is not something the Heels have done often this season against anybody. The defense at UNC welcomed back its best player, the edge rusher Kamen Rucker, who has missed most of the season with an injury. He had 3 sacks and an interception, and anyone who likes fat guy pick sixes, Javari Ritzie had one of the best you will ever see from a big guy. He took it 84 yards in interception for a defensive touchdown. Now, against Florida State, which has the worst rushing offense in the ACC and the worst rushing defense in the ACC, there are 2 key questions for the Heels. One, can they dominate the line of scrimmage against FSU the way they just did against UVA and the way so many others have done against the Seminoles this season? That, again, has not been Carolina's greatest strength this season, not even close to it. Number 2, can the Heels defense successfully harass, disrupt, confuse, or maybe even intimidate Florida State's very young and very shaky QB rotation of redshirt freshman Brock Glenn, no relation, and the true freshman Luke Kromenhoek, who gave the Seminoles offense a little bit of a spark against Miami during the Seminoles' 36-14 loss to the Hurricanes last week. But neither of those FSU QBs has been very good at all, and it's going to be up to the Tar Heels to exploit that if they're going to win in Tallahassee.